with support from the Royal Danish Embassy and embassies of Sweden, Netherlands, and Ireland. We are implementing a youth project in West Nile, but also at the national level, all focusing on fostering youth voices, so that then the young people are able to meaningfully engage in decision-making processes. We are building the capacity of young people in policy analysis, so that then they are able to identify community youth issues, analyze them, then develop policy papers that they can use then to engage their leaders at local level, at the district level, at regional level, but also at the national level, with the idea that then their leaders can have a buy-in on some of those issues.
Understanding the subject matter. Because public policy analysis is part of it, it also has similarities in policy development. Two is identifying the issues in the subject matter, identifying the root causes, of the issues. Four, identifying the negative effects, the signs and symptoms of the issues. Now, step 1 to 4. We now notice step 1 to 4. We use the problem tree and the 5 whys. We talked about the problem tree and the 5 whys. Problem tree and the 5 whys. Then step 5, we formulate the problem statement, and using what we get from step 1 to step 4. Then step 6, we formulate the purpose statement, using now the issues in step 2, informed by the analysis report. If you are to come up with a policy document, you do analysis first. Then from the analysis, it informs. That's why even when you saw the other letter I showed you, they said that the decision of political decision should be informed by evidence of the technical people. So the evidence of the technical people, one of them is that analysis report. So this business of you organize a workshop, people talk, and then you compare, say, yeah, people recommend that you should come up with this policy, and then you present that policy. Like that is not adequate. And you must have an analysis. Like I also mentioned earlier, that when you consult people don't tell you signs and symptoms. Now you should use that information of signs and symptoms to identify the root causes. Don't go by what people tell you. If you go by what people tell you, you are going to have a permanent and pensionable job instead of retiring from your work. For example, if you have to address malaria, must you create a permanent and pensionable job for you to address malaria? Yeah, just tell people and they know how to avoid stagnant water, clear bushes, and there's no malaria anymore, isn't it? Yeah. The public policy must be for the good of the citizens, isn't it? Yeah. For the good of the citizens.
So this capacity building session on policy analysis is aimed at equipping the young people with capacity and knowledge for them to become serious policy analysts, so that then the issues that affect young people in their communities are able to be brought to the attention of their leaders through policy briefs, through policy papers, so that then they can be addressed.
We are giving them skills on how they can diagnose issues that are relevant to the needs and also the needs of the youth and the community generally. And this involves understanding the subject matter at hand, identifying the issues, how to generate the root causes, identifying the options, and how to compare the different options to make informed conclusions and recommendations. The whole training was practical, so there was a lot of group work. While in the group work, they really discussed to understand the challenges that are affecting the communities and the youth in particular, how to diagnose the issues, how to come up with the root causes. And then at the end of the day, they came up with the public policy papers, which they shared in plenary.
So let's look at waste management. Now, according to our tool, you say you must explain, isn't it?
For us, we have decided to come up with a policy recommendation. If the government can take it into consideration, the issue of poor waste management can be addressed. So, poor waste management in West Nile sub-region has become a a pressing issue due to rapid urbanization, weak enforcement of policies. So population increase is going, people are producing daily. So all the people who are coming into this world are coming with waste. Now our biggest challenge is, where is this waste going? We don't know where to put it. What is the scope of our study? Is to examine the current state of waste management in West Nile sub-region, identify the key challenges, propose sustainable and community-driven policies. So we want it, since waste is our problem as community, we need to come up with solutions as the community to address the challenges. So what are our recommendations? Enhance waste collection systems, implement large-scale recycling initiatives, promote composting, increase public education campaigns, strengthen waste management laws, encourage private sector investment. Our main reference was the National Environment Waste Management Regulation of 2020 and the National Environment Act of 2019. Thank you.
Waste management is the collection, transportation, storage, and disposal of waste. They say, what's the issue with it? They say indiscriminate disposal. Or there is a haphazard disposal. But you define what it is. What's waste management? Waste management is the collection, the transportation, storage, and maybe discussion of waste. That's waste management. But what's the issue with it? The issue with it is there's haphazard or there's indiscriminate disposal.
We're talking about policy, a public policy paper on addressing limited empowerment in the Youth Livelihood Program that is in Arua City. Despite its nationwide implementation, the program continues to suffer from poor outcomes due to limited empowerment of the youth beneficiaries. What we did, we used the Japanese 5 Whys. Comprehensive program awareness should be carried out to make youths understand the intention of the projects so that they see it as an opportunity to succeed. Strengthen our monitoring system so that they can come up with good project reports and evidence to attract more fundings from the government. Not only that, governments will increase the budget for the program since many youths are idle and lacks employment. Finally, thank you for listening.
Mobilizing youth into village savings groups so that, to do engagement and participation and so on, so that just like that. And also it requires capacity building and follow up, and this also requires money. So those are the few comparative analyses we have done. Then lastly, in conclusion, for PDM to be successful, we need a very streamlined system of information flow so that every human being, every stakeholder participates in it. And we also need capacity building.
And proper assessment and valuation of businesses and enterprises. This again will reduce overtaxation, and then it will increase compliance in the interest of the citizens. Guided by the tax policy, we can have a favorable taxation enforcement. Thank you.
In conclusion, the gap in digital transformation in Uganda poses a threat to efficiency and productivity in digital transformation. The connectivity and access to information could promote as promoted inefficiency and unproductivity across all sectors. This has made the country not to compete in the global market when digital transformation is talked of. So the recommendation we'll give is to prioritize, to make digital transformation a priority since the world is moving towards digital era and trend.
These policies are already there. We're only examining them to see how the loopholes are, and we effectively, one. When we talk about civic education, we have all the issues on civic. Many times we have seen the Electoral Commission has taken civic education, and this is not supposed to be the mandate of, full mandate of Electoral Commission. It's just a component of Electoral Commission. We have the Uganda Human Rights Commission, which is entirely to be the body that actually holds up the whole issue of civic education. So when we see through the implement youth focused civic and political education in schools and communities, why we're targeting schools Remember Uganda's population. Then we also want to promote inclusive representation. The structures are there. We only want to second to see that they are there. Invest in youth empowerment. These are our recommendations. They are quite self-explanatory. Safeguarding youth civic spaces. We also want to enhance coordination among stakeholders and also allocate sufficient resources. So these are our references we worked on. These are not documents we developed ourselves, but these are documents the government has developed. We're only using them to come up with this paper and analyze it. You can clap for me, not for me only, for the people who came up with this paper now.
What I've seen is that from the way we have been discussing, most of these things have been followed, especially on myself.
And then after sharing plenary, they also went back to refine them so that they really have ready-made products, which were very, very important.
We came in with the title, that's Enhancing Livelihoods for People with Special Needs and Abilities. We gave in our introduction, the introduction goes as that. Then in the main body, we talked about the root causes of the issues and the options I mentioned earlier on. So on the options available, we looked at inclusive hiring initiatives by implementing policies and programs that promotes inclusive hiring practices such as disability awareness training, the DAT, for employers, and providing accessible vocational training and education that caters to the unique needs of people with special needs, and so on. So while looking at the benefits, it promotes inclusive hiring practices and increases employment opportunities for people with special needs, enhances skills and employability, and increases confidence among people with special needs, enables people with special needs to participate in the workforce, and increases job retention. Like these benefits, we are getting them from the options. Thank you.
There are sample we get ignored in the analysis. So if you use public policy analysis to inform, put here, first do public policy analysis to inform, coming up with your paper, then you not have a challenge also. That's why we say that even public policy analysis should inform policy formulation, approval, implementation, monitoring, and evaluation when we look at the cycle. So that's very, very important. We went through the steps of public policy analysis where we say first define your subject. Then from you define your subject, identify the issues. Then from the issues, get the root causes, okay? And we say that the issue should be related to subject matter. That's why we say that if, for example, we define that Will or Grow is a program to support the livelihood of women. They say, what's the issue then? The issue is that maybe there's limited supporting women, there's inefficient supporting women. You qualify what you have defined there.
Me, I learned that in making public policy analysis, we have to focus on the roots of the problems, and that involves asking deep from the citizens themselves.
In today's sessions, I've gotten to learn a series of things, one of which is how to make the community aware of the different policies that exist, and also when we are making the policy documents based on the analysis, it should have facts.
When you're engaging in public policy analysis, you're supposed to base everything on evidence,
whereby some of the evidence should be in pictures, videos, graphs, and tables.
It should not be of individual interest, but of citizens' interest. And also, public policy must be monitored and assessed. In the best practices, what stood out for me is that when you have a policy, it should be in a way that it is measured, and then it should be enforceable, not having many policies that are not implemented and enforced.
What I've learned today is to make a recommendation when analyzing public policy analysis. Thank you.
I remember asking a question about a pronouncement by government being a policy. I think at least I've learned that not every pronouncement or government directive may be a public policy.
The public policy should be people-focused.
When formulating a public policy, you need to do consultation.
From what I've learned, first thing I will do is to allow it to transform me first before passing it out to influence change in our communities.
When we join hands together, we shall be in good shape.
I will get the district national development plan. I do some analysis and come up with an issue and develop a report on youth access to PDM.
I now know how to score issues and problems around me. I'll be able to apply this in my workplace and with the community.
I'm going to pass this information to the youth leaders and the proactive youth in the society by training them, and also coming up with position papers from my division.
I came not well mentored, but at least as I'm living today, trust me, I have to really admit that I'm fully packed with knowledge on public policy analysis. And I believe down from my small village, that is in Iriki, and I will look for sub-county, Arua City, I'm going to be a change agent.
Now that we are policy analysts, I hope we shall influence some policies. Are we together? Okay, so Mr. Crispin, please you're welcome to give a few remarks. Then you also invite for us the RDC. Thank you.
You either go back the same, you go back confused, or you go back changed or better, isn't it? Eh? Let me hope we are all going back better. So I want to thank you once again for your time this week and for being attentive to ensure that you learn and pick some of these things. Now, the biggest task is how you are going to implement or to replicate this knowledge. Policy analysis is not like a project, that you are going to implement a project, but you are going to use the knowledge to be able to identify community issues, analyze them, and then bring them to the attention of decision makers. The idea is for you to be able to influence the decision makers so that then they can agree with some of the proposals that we are bringing on table. Remember how we engage is through dialogue. All together. We engage through dialogue. Not demonstrations, not strikes, not abusing, not confrontations, but through dialogue. What do we engage using? We have our position papers. All together. Pay attention to the existing policies, analyze them, but also make clear recommendations. Recommendations that are implementable, recommendations that are practical, so that then our leaders can address some of those issues.
Let's actualize what we have learned in reality and really translate what we have learned here to enable our brothers and sisters who are not here also benefit. Not only the youth, the entire population, because without us also you will not be there. You already understand what lobbying is, yes? Advocacy is. But the most important thing in these matters of policy or public policies, you need to identify your stakeholders and you know who is important and who is influential. Because if you do not have this at the back of your mind, you will hit a snag. And of all things, I have interacted with a number of youth. Some of you are so aggressive in the sense that the language you use tend to create conflict. In engagements, it's just the same way I don't know, have you ever engaged a lady in your life? Yes or no? Even yesterday. So these things look funny, but this is the way to go anyway. You have to give in those words that matter, those magnetic words that can silence somebody who is very wild to understand what you are, and you move forward as a team. Let's speak to our people in a manner that we do not get a negative feedback. Let us live by example in the process of doing these things. These commitments you are saying, what are you going to do differently, is already an oath. It's a commitment that you are going to do what you have mentioned here. So I would like to wish you all the best. If you get your places, please do not forget about Sensitise Uganda. We would like to thank you so dearly. To the donors, tell them thank you for complementing the efforts of the government of Uganda, and we should always move as a team. And please, wherever you have a doubt, do not gamble. You consult. After having said this, I would like to take this opportunity to officially close this 3 days training.
It has been an honor for these past 3 days for this specific training on public policy analysis. Coming here, my information was so limited on this. However, we have received trainings and understood the dynamics that all these trainings focus on the people, and all the public analysis that we do should focus on the people. The implementation should focus on the people or the citizens. And once this focuses on the citizens, it has meaning. Those are key points that I really picked from this training that I feel I'll do better when I go back. Yeah.
Before I came here, for me, I knew that the policies are made in the parliament. We don't have policies that come from us. And the training has clearly given me a change. Now we are clearly knowing that we have public policies that we need to govern our society with. 2, we have come to know that if we really want to be as youth, if we want to have a change in our society, we need to have effective policy or public policies in order to implement and make sure that we have development and change in youth.
To be sincere, before coming here, I'd not known the documents that are in public policies, the steps that are taken to come up with a public policy, and the different stakeholders that are supposed to participate in coming up with the public policy. But after coming here, at least there are a number of stakeholders that I've known about. When you want to come up with public policy, you have to go through their knowledge. For instance, the LC1s, the LC2 councils, then even different stakeholders like from education sector. When you want to come up with some policy, you have to bring together the board in order to set the policy.
At least I've learned something and I've picked something on it. I feel okay and whole, and I'm very ready now to handle those youth or to train those youth on policy, public policy analysis.
I thank Sensitise Uganda for introducing the policy analysis to the fellow youths. I feel very secured, and what I've learned from policy analysis has enlightened me. As I'm going out, I'm going to make sure the youths learn what I have learned. It has made me to be visible. I've learned about different policies and how the government is making the policies to develop Uganda.
I'm really grateful for Sensitise Uganda for giving me this opportunity to be part of this training. They're really doing a great job. The youths outside there are being neglected. But through NGOs like Sensitise Uganda, our voices can be heard and our concerns can be worked on.